I'm 36 years old, and 20 years ago, if I had known the stuff then that I know now about money, I would be way more well off, right? And life is all about experiences. So, in that point from me being 16 to 36, of course, I learned a lot. I've experienced a lot. I've taken some action. I've, missed opportunities, etc. But in this video, I kind of want to talk about like what I would tell my younger self. Just to kind of keep moving forward with my finances. But before we get into that, let's talk about how these videos are going to work because I'm building my personal finance community, Dollar Discipline University, in public daily with these videos. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through some YouTube comments. Think of it like a YouTube Q&A to give you guys immediate value for kind of watching the videos and just I want to give back, okay? Then there's a segment, things on my mind to help you reach your financial goals faster. And yeah, this is going to be like the things that don't teach in school about money. Unfortunately, they teach things that just don't matter in everyday life to most people. And then at the end, we'll talk about some community activity, things that are happening inside the community that can give you some value. So let's go to the YouTube comments here. And this was actually inspired by Upchuck Canuck, who wrote, just wanted to let you know that I'm showing your videos to my older teenage nephew in hopes that it will help him learn about money before he gets into any debt. Wow, that's amazing. That's so cool. And yeah, I saw this and I was like, I got to make a video about this. So I appreciate you, Upchuck Canuck. What I see a lot of times, actually, and it's unfortunate, people that I work with in their finances, a lot of times they've worked, they do the life thing with money based on how they were taught from either their parents or their guardian, whatever. And it's just really kind of interesting that money habits get passed down, and then I'd be on a call with someone and they're like almost crying because they have kids or whatever, and they don't want the same thing to happen to their kids that happened to them, that they had learned from their parents and they had learned from their parents, right? You kind of see the trend. So like breaking that line, I think, and like trying to show young people how all this stuff works, I think is great. So let's just dive right into the number one thing that I would tell myself, my younger self, about, and it's time. This one's not going to hit home for a lot of younger people, I don't think, but just kind of bear with me, okay? Because it doesn't feel like it right now, but this is the easiest part of your life. This is the easiest part your life is ever going to be. It doesn't feel like it, like maybe you're busy, you got, obligations in school and friends, and maybe you have a job and it's like, oh, wow, I'm so busy. But it's actually going to get harder. Like you're just going to get way more responsibility. You're going to have to start like paying your own bills, have a roof over your head. Maybe you're going to start a family, and it's like you're just not going to have enough time. You're going to have a job that like probably requires your attention for a lot of time during the week, and all of these things, not only are they physically demanding, but they're mentally demanding as well, because now you have all these things happening in your head right now. You have like the freest opportunity in the world in your mind, and in like just you have more time than you realize right now. It's only going to get harder. And this applies to money too. I don't really talk about investing on this channel, but I'm going to talk about two ways that money compounds. So there's positive compounding, which a lot of people love. That's like kind of the sexy thing. Everyone loves to invest in the thing that's going to have their money make them money, right? And then there's negative compounding, which we'll talk into, which is debt, right? So positive, yay, right? And then we have negative. So I'm going to go over to a compounding interest calculator. Now, if I was, 16 years old, for example, and maybe I just started working a job. So I'm going to just put in initial deposit of $1, okay? How many years of growth? Let's say for 50 years, I want to save $100 a month. And just to be conservative, if you just invest in like broad market stuff, the returns on a long enough time horizon are 8 to 12%. So we'll just do a very generous or very conservative 8%. This is what putting your money away $100 a month for 50 years looks like. Now, if you look at this chart here, it's pretty crazy because you've put in $60,000. You can see the total principal there, but the interest earned on that is $733,000. Now, if you were to do, say, say now I'm 26, let's say I only do it for 30 years. Now it's only 149,000, right? So it's what is that? 5 times less, just because of starting 20 years later. Now, when you get older, the goal is like, okay, maybe so for the first 10 years you're doing $100 a month, and then the next 10 years you're doing $250 a month, and then the next 10 years you're doing 500, right? Like this whole thing compounds. But if you quote start too late, it makes a huge significant impact. And then to make up for the same amount, you have to invest more. So $250 a month won't do it. You'd have to like 5x the amount of money that you're putting away if you lose time. So time is the greatest factor through all this. Now, what I help people do is save more money, pay off debt. People with like good incomes where it's like, hey, where's all my money going? I'm helping these people figure that out. And now debt is basically the complete same thing now, but just think like instead of this green, think about your net worth going down. It's going in the crapper, right? So if your chart looks like this, and here's the chart that we just sort of looked at, right? Where it's like you're investing, it's slow, and then it's just like exponential growth, right? Think about this as like your net worth, okay? Now, when you have debt, you might think, and this is me talking to myself from 20 years ago, that signing up for that credit card where you have a $500 limit is amazing, and of course you're going to pay it off. But what happens is you get into this cycle of using it and abusing it, and it could be a never-ending snowball. So what happens is if you don't pay it off, you have interest attached to it, right? So if you spend $100 a month on your credit card and you pay it off, no interest, no problem. Okay, that's currently what my wife and I use. We use our credit cards to help organize our finances. Basically, how it works for us is we get paid at the beginning of the month. That's when our mortgage comes out. And then we organize our finances so that we organize our finances with credit cards and pay them in the middle of the month. And that way, when we get paid again, it sort of covers like the rest of our life. So we're paying them off every month. We're using credit cards. So this isn't me saying I'm anti-credit card, right? But 20 years ago, I don't know if it makes sense for, someone in their teens to be using that, to be quite honest with you, because here's what happens, right? When you have negative interest, it's like it's negatively impacting any positive interest that you have. And I think people get this confused all the time because they want the flashy returns of we'll say 8 to 12%, right? But then when they look at when we look at their credit card or their debt, and their debt is averaging like 18% interest rate, right? These are both interest rates. And this is an interest rate. The math on that is not in your favor, right? Because if we're losing 18% of interest and we're gaining, say, 10% of interest, that you're losing 8%. So while this is great and all that you're building this up, it's like the math ain't mathing on this, right? You're in the negative here. So that's why getting out of debt is the first priority. Probably not even getting into debt is the first priority, and then getting out of it is the next priority. But things come up, right? People have emergencies. You kind of have to do what you have to do. Borrowing money is just so normal these days. So again, this isn't me saying don't go into debt or don't use credit cards or don't whatever. But this is just me saying, like, if you're thinking about time, and you're like, oh man, you're excited to see how money compounds over time. You also have to know that it compounds negatively over time as well if you put yourself in the wrong situation. So that's time. Okay. Now this next one, I probably would lose some younger folks here if they're watching this, but just to be very clear, alignment is so important because we have limited resources. It's true. And right now you think that, again, this is me talking to my younger self, that you have all this time, you have all this freedom, you have all this stuff going on. But I wish I could go back in time and shake that, 16-year-old kid and be like, hey man, get going. Start like figuring this stuff out, because once I realized in my finances, this was in my mid to late 20s, I suppose, I guess mid 20s, that like, hey, what if I aligned the things that mattered to me the most with my money, my time, the effort that I'm putting into things, the sacrifices that I'm making. And once I started doing that, like the growth was pretty significant. Or I should say more significant than what it was, which was nothing. There was no growth because I had no alignment to the goals. So we have limited resources, right? Time, money, energy to make to make efforts and things like that. So we have to kind of figure out our North Star goals. Now, if I'm talking to my 16-year-old self, that seems kind of intimidating to say like, hey, what are the most important things to you? Because that's the whole point of being a teenager is you're trying to figure everything out, right? Or maybe you're in college, or maybe you're like a young professional. You don't have to have everything figured out, but what do you think? What do you think's gonna happen? Like, what would you like to happen? Is there a certain career path you want to take? Is there a certain I don't know, life goal that you have? Like you want to be fit? Is there a non-negotiable where it's like, hey, I you feel obligated to spend money on this certain thing in your life? So for me, for example, like fitness is very important. I'm not like this shredded or jacked guy or anything like that. I just like to work out every day. And to me, that's really important because one, my health is important, but two, imagine, so my wife and my two young kids woke up every day and they were like concerned about my health, right? Uh, then that wouldn't be great. Like I'm trying to create a situation where I don't want anyone worrying about me. I need to figure myself out first and then, kind of go from there. So whatever those North Star goals for you, and maybe, maybe you set some crazy, what seem like crazy goals. Like maybe you do like, hey, I want to save $10,000. Maybe that sounds crazy to you. I want to do XYZ career path. Sorry about that. I didn't have enough time to mute it. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Maybe you have fitness goals, right? Whatever they are, okay? So how do we, if these are your three things, now how do we align the money that you make, the time that you have towards these things? Like education right now, the traditional like schooling system, in my opinion, is kind of, I feel like the traditional path is dwindling down. Not dwindling down. It's still massive, right? But it's taking a smaller piece of the market share, because there's a lot more just education is information is basically becoming useless these days because of artificial intelligence and all this other stuff. Because everyone has the same access to whatever they want now with the internet, with AI. Like everyone has the same access. So now it's how do we use that information to get a leg up on other people? And this is just kind of the alignment thing. So imagine, so if you're in like high school or college or even a young professional and you get home for the day and you've completed all your obligations, okay, and you have like 2 or 3 hours, like how would you work on these things in how would you spend those 3 hours? Would you like be looking into this career path, like maybe taking some gathering some information to get some context, maybe taking a course or something like that, where someone has meticulously like sort of created something to give you a transformation in a certain industry? Are you going to go to the gym for an hour and do your fitness goals? Are you going to think about how to save $10,000, like how long that would take you? It's like, okay, if I do, $100 a month, how many months is that? It's like, well, that's going to be 100 months, right? Okay, it's like, okay, well, that's a really long time. How do I increase this? It's like, okay, well, if I do $250, and it's early in the morning, guys, so I apologize. Is that 40 months? Okay. So 40 months is like, okay, that's not bad. That's, it's 3 years. It's still a long time, right? So you got to map it out backwards and try to figure out. And then it's like, how do I get this? Well, is the job that I have making enough money to do this? Do I need to do a side hustle? Maybe I start learning this career path and I'm able to help other people behind me or something like that, right? Who are just starting and maybe I'm a little further ahead. So there's a lot of options here, but the whole goal of this video here is just to like alignment. I think it's just really important. It's something that I wish I knew earlier, and now that I've done it, it's been tremendous. And inside the community here that I have, the personal finance community, the people that have won or are winning or have gotten awesome results are people that started aligning. So I'm going to show you a couple wins in here that are people that are doing this. So Angie was able to pay off $20,000 of debt in a year. So she made this post where she had a screenshot from June 6, 2024, with $43,000 in debt. And then on June 6th the next year, she said she's now down to 19,000. So over like $20,000 of debt paid off by going through sort of the processes that I talk about. Okay. Zane went from negative monthly cash flow to paying off 5K debt in 3 months. Like, how is that even possible? Well, he realigned all of his stuff. And so all these changes helped me create an extra like $4,000 in my monthly budget. He paid down $5,000 of debt in the first 3 months, just to show you that I'm not making this up, right? And he just sort of, maximized income, cut unwanted expenses, redirect dollars to things I actually want to spend them on. This is huge, okay? Now he has peace surrounding his finances. Really kind of important. And then Janine, it took just 30 days to pay off one credit card. And she gives credit to, where is it here? I guess in the title here, getting control with simple tasks. So breaking the process into small achievable tasks with accountability. It makes so much sense, right? So yeah, after my first month, one credit card paid off, 4 more to go. Very cool. So I think everyone's trying to just, what's the saying? Like, you can't eat an elephant in one bite or something like that. Whatever the saying is, it's like, yeah, you can't eat an elephant like one bite, but like you could take down a whole elephant if you had a long enough time horizon. And I'm not saying, this is not me pro eating elephants. I don't need the animal organizations coming after me for this. I don't need to be canceled. But just think about it from your money. So if like you had that massive goal of like, hey, I want to be a millionaire. It's like, well, how do I do this? Like, how do I reverse engineer it? What do I have to do every month? Which means, what do I have to do every week to be able to get to that goal? I hope this is making sense. Inside the community, I'm doing a 2-day cash flow kickstart. It's a free event. I just had one last night. There was 2 people that joined. It was awesome. And then we're going to have the second call for it tomorrow evening. But I have it set up here. Every week there's one. I have it through October right now. So if any of these times are aligned with you, I'd love to have you in there and sort of show you how to find an extra $100 to $300 of hidden cash flow every single month. And most importantly, like, where your money's been going, how to realign it to the things that matter the most, and then how to keep doing that month after month after month. So I'm doing these videos daily, guys. Again, I appreciate Upchuck Canuck. I saw this and I was like, yeah, I gotta make a video on this. If you're watching this, anyone else, and you have a question, like, I'll probably dedicate a whole video to it right now until I just get completely overwhelmed with all these comments, right? But let me know what you're kind of thinking and what your plan is and how I can help. So I'll see you tomorrow.